Welcome to the archives of Hanging with the Hayters. Boy, you picked a good one, but if perchance this doesn't float your boat, check out another one. We're loaded. And don't forget, we're live every Wednesday at noon on www.irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KCCZ LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark Hayter. This is Kay. We are hanging, or you are hanging with the Hayters. We are the Hayters. Oh, my goodness. And today, if you caught it on Facebook, Johnny Sutton is here, my friend of like almost a billion years.
I've known him a long time, and you've known him even longer.
Yeah, I know, since second grade and all. And Johnny was here previously, 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. And one of his big claim to fame is stories he told us from, he's a forester. Anyway, and he has so many stories about people in the backwoods, and we may or may not get to any today. I don't know. We've got so many things going on today. Anyway, Johnny, by the way, welcome. And Johnny, where do you live again? I can't remember.
Livingston.
Livingston, Texas.
Big town of Livingston.
Oh, man,
right
yes.
Right in the middle of the piney woods.
Well, we're on the edge
Texas.
of it. We'll say that.
Yeah, and he's not too far from Woodville. No, that goes out of Lufkin, doesn't it? Woodville?
It's on over to the east of us.
Okay. And anyway, great to have him here. We've got so many similar things going on in our past lives. But right now, what we've got going on, and it sounds like I'm talking very fast because, Kay, it's tense time. And I don't mean TENTS because we don't have one. But it is tense as in, wow, things are happening.
Like in past tense?
Past? No. Like, no, don't. It's not even that.
Don't confuse it.
Right, don't confuse it. It's like, here's what's happened, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you may be aware we were trying to sell our house. Well, we've got an agreement on it pending the inspection, and the inspector was here today. Johnny even got to see the inspector. His first name is Chad, and ladies and gentlemen, it was one of the most thorough inspections I had ever.
Yeah.
The guy was there forever. I thought for a while I was going to have to, ask him if he wanted to eat lunch with us. But anyway, it was thorough. He was in every faucet, everything. He might have climbed under a portion of the house. Not all the houses has a foundation. But anyway, now he doesn't tell you anything. Because
right. I don't think he's supposed to.
And I didn't try to offer him anything at all. I was civil. But anyway, as a result, we don't know what's happened, and there could be a deal where eventually the people buying the house, the loan company that's making them the loan say, okay, we will give them the loan if you do replace your entire plumbing outfit or electricity, and we don't know.
No, that
won't happen.
Ours is good.
But something will happen, that's for sure, and we'll have to
well,
come down
they'll find
price.
something. I think people feel like they didn't do their job if they didn't find something.
Right. And by the way, here's the other deal, Johnny, and I think we may have told you about it, and that is this, ladies and gentlemen, and I know it's none of your concern, but it's happening to Kay and I, and we are actually the host of the show.
We want to tell the whole world about it.
People, it's very personal. We don't know if the deal's going to go through, but if it does go through, regardless of when it is, by June 15th, Jake, that is what, 3 weeks, give or take.
Not quite a month.
We've got to have our happy buns out of that house and everything there is. And what if they don't know for sure they can get it until June the 10th? Well, see, here's what's going to happen, Kay, and I'll tell you up front. We're going to move everything out and try to find a place for us to live, Johnny. We will be indigents for a while. And then they come up and say, a week before, oh, I'm sorry, we're not going to close. We're not going to get the house. Well, holy cow. And what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is waiting till November for a house that's going to be built for us because we're that special. And it may all fall through. Anyway, Johnny, that's a long story. By the way, Johnny, this is Jake LaFleur.
LaFleur.
And he's our intern for Dick. And he is so much more charming than Dick. Dick, I'm joking. Dick's the boss.
Well, I was just about to say, if you need a place to live, I'm sure Dick will let you move
that
in.
That man, he will do anything for us. I don't know where Dick lives, but then I don't know where we're going to live. So we'll find something.
Yeah, we will. We just we can't think about the whole picture. Or
Oh.
we'll drive ourselves nuts.
Right. You know,
gotta
one thing
do a
we
little
can't
bit
think
at a
about,
time.
though, is Sunny Horn, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to say that Hanging with Hayter is sponsored by Sunny Horn.
And Leaders Financial Group.
Financial Group. He's our financial guru also for the show. And anyway, hey, Sonny. Anyway, a lot of stuff going on. I usually mention, Johnny, it's a selfish, not selfless plug. My article last week was about mother and Mother's Day. And all of us have them. We're just, some of us are less close to, I'm less close to my mom now because she passed away in 2006. But anyway, article about Mom's Day and about how we never, the Hayters seldom took Mom out to eat for Mother's Day.
Because there were so many of you.
Okay, we were all over the place. Johnny, did y'all take your mom out, or did
Occasionally.
your dad give you?
Mom really likes to stay at home and run the show. She knew what we were going to eat and have us all at the house. So we stayed at the house. And hate to say it, but my mother cooked a lot on her Mother's Day.
You know, Johnny, did you ever anytime think that maybe she didn't want to, but she was hoping someone would ask, you know, would y'all take us out to eat?
Well, we enjoyed her cooking so much, we just decided to take her at her word on it.
Was it pretty hard for you buying your mom something or your dad for Father's Day?
Not
Easy to buy for?
Mother was hard.
It's terrible.
Of course, once I got married, which was fairly young in life, my wife gladly took
14,
that
as I
chore
recall,
over.
Johnny.
And my mother got better gifts as long as my wife was buying for her. Anyway.
Isn't that important?
So,
Same with Kay.
she bailed me out of that.
Mom, I mean, when we were young, we went to, Johnny, do you remember Ray's Five and Dime in Pasadena?
No.
Johnny, Sutton on Ritchie Street, right over there. We lived on Pinewood Lane in Pasadena, and Johnny, when I was in the second grade, Johnny, that's when I met him, and we were in the second grade class together. And you don't remember Ray's Five and Dime?
No,
on
we
Ritchie
didn't.
Street?
We hardly had 5 and dime to spend.
Well, that's probably what it was. You lived in a house. That's the only house Dad tried to buy, and the reason we moved is he didn't have any more money to pay. So we had to move to a worse house on Finfrock Lane.
Finfrock.
Yeah.
Well, the neighborhood, we hated to see you go because, like I said, y'all were civilized children.
We were more
we
like,
had plenty of uncivilized in our neighborhood,
Well,
so it was tough to see y'all go.
there were. Before we came here, I was talking to Johnny about the Smiths. There was a guy named Dinky Smith. He was a friend of mine, and I think that's a song. But also, I mentioned Patricia, Pat Adams?
Pat Adams.
Tomboy, but just as sweet as she could be, as nice. And Johnny told me that she grew up well. She looked.
A lot of tomboys end up going to fine young women, and Pat did.
Yeah.
Hell of a football player.
She was
up there. Whenever we chose teams, Pat was second or third to get chosen for
wow,
sure, girl
that's
or
great.
not. She was a heck of a football player.
And I don't mean to run Dinky down, but she would always get chosen before Dinky.
Dinky got chosen last. Yes.
He did. Bless his heart. And he had I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, that was way back when. And we were talking about stuff like that. By the way, Jake, is your mom still with us?
Yes, my mom's still with us, but we celebrated the weekend before because my brother works offshore, and my other brother lived in D.C. for quite some time. So that was the first opportunity we were going to have to celebrate with all three of the boys there in like 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
God,
That was a good day for your mom.
Yeah, she really enjoyed it. I cooked and made her big old dinner meal, and we had a blast, a lot of fun. Grandkids came, and we swam, and it was a ton of fun.
You know, normally it's pork and beans and wieners. Is that what you had?
No, I cooked prime rib and twice baked potatoes with grilled asparagus.
Twice.
He's really a cook.
He
Okay.
is. He is
Well,
that.
I'm impressed.
By the way, one other thing, and I
great.
hate to get too personal. What does your brother do in Washington D.C.? Is he?
Oh no, he just moved back down. He worked for a nonprofit with some universities, and he did a IT consulting or IT project management for him.
Wow.
Now he works for Baylor Medical School in downtown Houston.
I've heard
doing
of
the same
them.
thing.
Goodness gracious! I tell you, the Jake LaFleur family is up there with when it comes to smarts. Anyway, that's fascinating stuff. I've just told you about the selling of the house. We have so many weird facts to mention, and
Mark spends all week coming up with weird facts for the show. You don't believe the work he puts in for
Yeah.
this.
Are we doing the country thing again?
We are doing a country
I
thing.
really enjoyed that.
Get out of here. Do you remember the name of the country?
Iceland.
I am so...
See, nothing changes. But, yeah, he's always been coming up with weird things ever since I've known him.
Well, Kay, one thing I mentioned when we started this show is, we can just sit here and talk silly like I'm doing right now and delving into things that people cook for their moms and all. But I like people to go away knowing something they may not have known before. And that's why I came up with a nation. And we're going to talk about it after our first break. And by the way, should I tell them the nation right now? Who cares?
Sure.
Who cares?
They could be Googling it in the meantime.
It's Paraguay, ladies and gentlemen. Paraguay I need to tell some
South
of you,
America.
it's in South America. And it's fascinating. I knew very little about it, but now wow. Paraguay, they speak not only Spanish, by the way, but a native language that is, I don't know what it is, but it's together. That native language is spoken by many in Latin America, Latin America, but especially Central and South America, because it's, the land of the Incas and the Mayans, and Mexico's Mayan. Anyway, fascinating as all get out. So many interesting things. Not as interesting, by the way, as some of these cities in Texas, Johnny. I was mentioning this to Johnny, and we've got about
What he said was,
a minute and a half. And do you know how
It's a
many
fill-in.
cities in Texas are named after cities in the other parts of the country? Well, neither do I. But Detroit, there's a Detroit, Texas. There's Denver City, Colorado City, Pittsburgh, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, a Miami, Texas, Boston, Santa Fe, Texas, a Reno, Texas, and Columbus, Texas. And
then international, we have Paris.
We got
you got
Paris.
your Parises, you got your Athens, China, Texas.
Do we have a Berlin?
Used to have a Moscow, Texas. Palestine, Dublin,
right.
and Italy, Texas, Turkey, Texas, and New London, Texas, and of course you mentioned Palestine. So many Texas, and there's also, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Washington D.C. and our connection, there's a White House, Texas. Fascinating stuff, but ladies and gentlemen, there's more fascination coming in just a little bit. Hanging with Haters, we've got to take a break now. Back in a couple with Johnny Sutton.
Did you know every broadcast of Hanging with the Haters is on YouTube? If you miss a broadcast, no problem. Check us out and don't be afraid to subscribe to Hanging with the Haters channel.
Hello, I'm Sonny Horn with Leaders Financial Group. For 25 years, Leaders has developed a working relationship with each of our clients that aid us in providing them opportunities to retire sooner than they likely thought possible. Our success is attributed largely to our thoroughness in drawing up a workable financial plan for each client. Saving money is tough for most, so we all need to receive the best long-term results possible for our efforts. Leaders Financial Group has earned a reputation for providing greater peace of mind for those who too often feel they're hoping against hope in what seems to be a most complicated financial market. Our goal at Leaders is to provide a keen sense of hope and financial security for those who come to us seeking direction. The process is simple. Phone call even more so. I'm Sonny Horn. Give me a call at 832-381-2515, and we'll help you establish a financial future that'll be ready when you're ready to retire.
And I'm Mark Hayter. One of the clients that Sonny Horn has helped retire sooner than I thought possible. It's our trust in him that led Kay and I to choose Leaders Financial Group as our sponsor.
Welcome back to Hanging with the Haters. We're just happy as we can be that you're listening to us today.
Yeah.
And do I understand we have a caller?
We've got a caller, Kay? Get out of your cities.
We do.
Whoa.
We do.
He's on the line, yes.
Oh my gosh, caller, you're Hanging with the Haters. Thank you so much for giving us a call. And if you could give us your name and who you are and ask us whatever question, comment you have, we'd be pleased.
Also, this Benny Ho.
Benny
Ho. I call from Imperial Dragon Restaurant and Pest Control.
Oh.
And I have your order ready. We have order ready, but we
yeah.
just need your credit card number to deliver food.
Yeah. Benny, man, I appreciate that, but we didn't really order any food.
Yeah,
did we?
I sure didn't. I didn't. Somebody
Wait a
was
minute,
pranking
round eye
us.
devil.
Oh.
I got order for 25 muguga pan,
Oh.
50 veggie egg roll, and 10-pound pork fried rice.
Oh, the pork fried rice sounds good, but Kay, did you make a
No.
Johnny? Are
No.
you familiar?
No.
No.
Oh,
Benny
now,
Ho.
wait a
Johnny doesn't
minute.
even like
You white
Chinese
devil.
food.
I pick up 6 guys from Home Depot to make this food for you.
Oh.
I just need credit card. I want money.
I'm dang. I'm sorry, really, Benny. I don't know what to say, but somebody's pulled a very cruel joke on us. Well,
white
maybe on
devil over Asian man again. Once again.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
Really, I don't care if you're, from a black-eyed pea or something. I didn't do this. It has nothing to do with your, your lineage or anything else, your ethnicity. Which, by the way, where are you from? I'm sorry.
I'm from China,
I knew
but I'm
that.
beginning to think guy from North Korea got it right.
Oh.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
Right.
he could have,
You-
Benny.
Okay, round eye.
I'm
Okay, round eye for you.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. Look, just I will advertise as soon as we hang up from you that how could they get? Well, just call the station and we'll give them your number. Maybe somebody can buy all this stuff you got.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm
Okay,
sorry, Benny.
round eye.
I'm sorry. I'm really seriously. Dang. I'm sorry, Patty.
Okay. Okay.
Boy, that's bad. That's on me.
Hi,
Okay,
Mom.
I guess.
Hi, Mom.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh. I see.
Goodbye.
Something. Yeah. Bye. He was yelling orders. Benny Ho. Man. That has happened with pizzas here, Johnny. Somebody's doing some bad
I've never
stuff.
heard it with Chinese food.
No, it's never
And that
happened
was a
before.
big order.
And here's what's crazy.
That'd be
We've
a
had
week's
some
income.
Asians. We've had some Asians selling. Here calling in about certain things. But this first one that first time I ever heard of Benny Ho, Benny Hill. That's what I was thinking of the whole time. Was Benny Johnny? Do you remember Benny Hill?
Yeah, but you're a couple of countries off there.
Yeah,
Right,
that's true. It's,
exactly.
Jake's too young to hear
Whole
Benny
different
Hill.
hemisphere.
Visual
Half
comedian.
the world off.
Oh, it was so cool with him. Anyway, before we left, I was talking about some interesting facts, and the one thing I was going to tell you about is Paraguay. There are, by the way, 2 landlocked nations in South America, and one of them is Paraguay, and it borders Bolivia and Argentina and Brazil, by the way. So right now I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to get out your South American maps and look down, open them up, look down below what you call your equators and all, and you're going to go down a little further and you're going to see Paraguay. And I used to think it bordered Uruguay, but it does not. But there was a big war between Paraguay, Uruguay, and Argentina and Brazil. And Jake may have been involved.
When was this?
It started in 1864. We were in the Civil War at the time.
We weren't
personally.
paying attention
But
then.
it ended in 1870, and it was called the Triple Alliance because there is Paraguay down there, landlocked, and they're in a war with Brazil, the Portuguese nation, which I imagine they had their independence by then, and also Argentina and Uruguay. Bolivia didn't care at that time. But I got to tell you this, and this is one of the weird things you probably didn't know about Brazil. When they went into this war back in 1864, the population of Brazil was 525,000. That's not that many, but for 1864.
For
that's
such
quite
a
few.
huge country.
This war, and when I tell you this figure, you'll probably figure out if Paraguay won the war or not. At the end of the war, they went from 520,000, the population, and at the end of the war, I don't know how many women were left, but only 25,000 men survived
Oh my
that
goodness.
war.
Oh my
They
goodness.
were,
That's losing a war.
that's losing a war big time. And one reason that helped them lose the war, they lost the war before then, but their leader it was never say die, and he said, we're going to fight a guerrilla war before, guerrilla wars were in vogue very well. Anyway, and as a result of that, holy cow, you talk about take no prisoners, the Argentines and all, they just went through the population and pretty well did away with a lot of the men.
Take no prisoners.
Yeah, I did not know that, and it is the worst loss of any country with respect to body count per capita. In other words,
Percentage?
the percentage-wise, they lost the largest percentage of people in that war, both women and men, of any other war there is because their population was
Even
that
Russia
big.
in World War II?
Yeah, because Russia had a lot of people. Russia lost 40 million, give or take 10 million. They lost a lot of people in the cities, but they lost, their soldiers too. In fact, the civilian deaths were higher than their because.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about this? And this is Russia, ladies and gentlemen. What you may have heard of Joseph Stalin. He's responsible for actually killing more people of his own, really, for the most part, than even Hitler did. And whenever the war started in the German, he had signed a contract, had a treaty with Hitler, and Hitler turns around and invades in 1941, and Hitler mowed down the Russians as he was going in, was taking all of the people, and Stalin actually was so afraid, he said, it's over for me. Here's this bloodthirsty dictator, and he said, there. And all of a sudden, people from the Politburo, a group of communists who were supposed to be leading the country, even though Stalin did, and they came to see him, and his thought was, they've come to kill me, and I deserve to die, I guess. And they came in and said, you're our only hope, and he said, son of a gun, yes, I am. So he went to Stalingrad in Moscow. He just visited Stalingrad a little while, and he told those people, to the day he died, he had thrown so many Russians into prison and all, and still a lot of those people who were in the what do you call those prisons in
Gulags?
Gulags. I love this woman like she was my wife. Gulags.
What?
And yet they wept when Stalin died because of saving them from the... By the way, we had a big role, Johnny. Don't think we didn't in World War II, but we would not have won World War II without Russia. I'm not saying we wouldn't have signed a treaty of some kind with Germany, but we would not have
Hitler
won.
was fighting on two fronts.
He was.
West and
He
the
chose
East,
the bad
so.
people. Anyway, that had nothing to do with Paraguay, even though Paraguay was involved in the war. But here's another thing you didn't know. Johnny.
You're down there. Who shot up Butch Cassidy and Sundance?
That is pretty good. That's Bolivia.
That's what I thought.
That's where, actually, we obviously don't know for sure, but the tale goes that they went down there to, do you remember Strother Martin?
Yes.
Great role for him, and this is where he was saying, ladies and gentlemen, this will mean a lot, and I'm looking at Jake, and he's never seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but Strother Martin, ladies and gentlemen, is they're helping their bodyguards carrying gold, from the camps to the banks in wherever city, Caracas or what, that's Venezuela. Anyway, and the deal is, they're riding their horses, Butch Cassidy, Paul Newman, and Robert Redford are, looking around all the trees and all, waiting for somebody to, and Strother Martin said, they're not going to attack us as we're going to the camp. You see, when we come back, that's when we've got the gold. And then he said, I am surrounded by idiots. And anyway, when they came back, yes, they were attacked and Strother Martin died. Okay, but that had nothing to do with Paraguay. Dueling to this day, and I don't mean the character Dooley from Andy Griffith's show, dueling as in pulling guns, and it's still legal in Paraguay to this day.
Really?
The only thing you have to do, though, if you're going to duel with someone, you must be a blood donor. And I kid you not. You have got to have donated blood before they'll let you shoot at one another, because you may need blood, and if you've never given blood, they don't care to give you any. If okay,
you're seriously.
I'm serious about
that's
that.
serious.
That
okay,
is serious. I kid you not. Also, the Paraguay has the largest navy of any landlocked country in the world, and the reason is they've got this river, and they've got a couple of rivers, but one, which is the biggest, is called the what do you call those fish that eat people?
Piranha.
Piranha. It's called piranha, but it's got an accent on the last day, so it may be piranha. I don't know. But Piranha River. And the reason that is important is because of this, ladies and gentlemen, something else you probably did not know, and that is Paraguay and Brazil are responsible for a dam. They share a dam that produces more electricity than any other hydroelectric plant in the entire world. Paraguay and Brazil, who would have thought it? Now, a lot of you are saying, oh no, it's the Three Gorges Bridge in China, which was recently built. And the Three Gorges Bridge in China, ladies and gentlemen, is massive. It is called Three Gorges because it has, no, it's not gorgeous, Kay. It's gorges, as in deep crevices.
Ravines,
And ravines.
big ravines.
Because of this, they have, number one, they have the dam where water goes over it, and that's, you build a dam in a gorge. A gorge is formed there, and the other thing is they have one area where they actually lift the ships up with hooks, the smaller ships with hooks, and that requires a gorge. You're lifting them from below and you're coming up, and that's something. And the other is they have locks, as in the Panama Canal. And you think the Panama Canal is something, ladies and gentlemen, it is something, but they have two. I mean, their lock will let two ships go by side by side.
It's wide enough for two
usually.
ships.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, and this is called, by the way, it's got a name. Don't think it doesn't. It's called the. I didn't write it down. It's something. A guy from
They gave it a name.
A guy from Italy actually is the guy that designed it. But son of a gun, it's got locks both. Anyway, the other thing I need to tell you is, because it's so important, 161 people in the country of Paraguay own 90% of all the wealth. 161 people. The United States is close to that, but it's not 90% of the 161 own. It's something less. Largest Navy landlocked. Got to be a blood donor to landlocked countries. Also, and this will be our last story about Paraguay. In 2008, a Catholic bishop had to quit. He had to give up his bishopship, and I don't know how you do that, but he gave up his bishopship to be the president of Paraguay. He was elected president of Paraguay, and as soon as they elected him, they found out he had 2 kids. And,
boy.
as a bishop, he was the father of
He
his
gave
kids.
up his bishopship before that.
Exactly, you would think. Anyway, fascinating stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That's just Paraguay alone.
Do you know Paraguay's nickname?
No.
Corazón de América.
Heart of America?
Heart of America.
Son of a gun. I did not know.
They're in the middle.
Do you know what Uruguay? Nobody knows. And we're not going to do Uruguay next. In fact, next week, Johnny, I'll tell you ahead of time. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Turkey. I am interested in Turkey now. Their language.
Turkey is on the news quite a bit.
It is
these
right
days.
now. And we'll talk about that later. And I cannot remember. Anyway, but there's a lot of facts. In fact, I think it's break time. We need to take a break. And this is the important one, Johnny, because it's all about traffic and weather and other things. Back in a couple.
Hello, I'm Sonny Horn with Leaders Financial Group. For 25 years, Leaders has developed a working relationship with each of our clients that aid us in providing them opportunities to retire sooner than they likely thought possible. Our success is attributed largely to our thoroughness in drawing up a workable financial plan for each client. Saving money is tough for most, so we all need to receive the best long-term results possible for our efforts. Leaders Financial Group has earned a reputation for providing greater peace of mind for those who too often feel they're hoping against hope in what seems to be a most complicated financial market. Our goal at Leaders is to provide a keen sense of hope and financial security for those who come to us seeking direction. The process is simple. Phone call even more so. I'm Sonny Horn. Give me a call at 832-381-2515, and we'll help you establish a financial future that'll be ready when you're ready to retire.
And I'm Mark Hayter. One of the clients that Sonny Horn has helped retire sooner than I thought possible. It's our trust in him that led Kay and I to choose Leaders Financial Group as our sponsor. Hanging with the Hayters is always looking for guests. If you have a project or business that benefits the community, contact us about being on the show at hwthaters@gmail.com. We broadcast live on Wednesdays at noon, and all our shows are archived on YouTube, SoundCloud, and on Suddenlink's Channel 12. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are hanging with the Hayters, and boy, you got that traffic stuff down. I don't think it's going to affect us on the way home, Kay. One thing, though, I wanted to mention, we were talking about Paraguay before, and that is, of course, in Latin America. It's south of us. But Johnny Sutton is here with us, and we are familiar because we actually went across the border on a trip many years ago, and Johnny and I were both there with his brother Craig, and the thing is, we were both there, and we remember different things about this trip, but Johnny Sutton, even though he doesn't
That's
like
not
to,
unusual.
that it's not unusual. He is one
normal.
heck of a storyteller, and I need to compare his notes with whatever my memories are of this. And Johnny, it happens to do, as you're aware by now at least, we went to Mazatlan, and I can't believe my parents let me, but do you remember the
We
year
were in
this happened?
We were in college, and I think it was 70 or 71. Pretty sure that's the years. We had already been in college a year or two.
Okay, Mom didn't have anything to do with it, but why Mazatlan?
Well, it was a surf trip. My brother and I had, at a young age, been afflicted with a surfing bug, and we always had a dream of going over to the Pacific coast and riding good waves over there. So,
Well, why did you invite me?
well, we figured two brothers and all that maybe that just numbers weren't enough. We felt more secure if three of us went, I guess.
Yeah.
We
And
didn't think your mother would let you go.
That was,
To
even
tell
as
you
a,
the truth.
even
And
as
then you called up that night. Hey, my mom said I can go. Craig, you could have knocked us over. We didn't believe it. We were great that you went. Besides a lot of driving.
There was
Hell,
driving.
we switched out
Yeah.
and driving. It helps to have three instead of two.
I was bound to have paid for some of the gasoline, I'm thinking.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did. And I don't get it. That wasn't the.
That had
That wasn't a reason.
probably not. Anyway, so that was in
And it was what? You took a Chevy? Drove a Chevy?
Yeah, it didn't belong to me. It belonged to my father, a 1955 Chevrolet that we drove over in 70 or 71.
it was white, wasn't
White,
it?
pure white at that time.
Yeah. And you
It
were,
was the turquoise pattern. Everybody knows 55.
Oh,
So it
that's
was the white
nice.
turquoise, but Daddy at some point had painted over the turquoise. But
Didn't they all?
so y'all
we had a
went
few.
into- yeah.
I mean, it was pretty wild over there. We had a language problem, especially me. Mark got pretty good at it.
Oh, I was great, Johnny.
I wouldn't say he was an interpreter, but he was better than I was.
I learned to say, "Do you have a bathroom?" And it was I didn't know how to say "do you." I just said "Puerto la baño," and I would give a shrug like, "Is there one?" And that's bathroom. Of course, they think of it as, "Oh, you need to take a bath," but they were gringos, so they realized, "Oh, you have to pee." And I don't know how to say "have to pee," so I said Puerto la baño.
I always say, "Donde está el baño?"
El baño, el
Because
bath.
that's just the
That
easiest way to do it.
does-
Where's the bathroom?
You should have had Jake with you. Do you remember much at all about going there? Any mishaps or?
No, we went over. It was a long drive out to, we stayed at Monterey. Then we went to
That's pretty.
Durango, spent the night in Durango. Had trouble ordering at the restaurant. We found out when you order food at a restaurant in Mexico, that at that time, they expected you to spend 2.5 hours.
Oh,
And
that's right.
We just thought they weren't going to serve us, We had given up, Americans and all. But finally, in 2.5 hours, they brought the food, and that you were expected to spend 3 to 4 hours in the restaurant eating.
Yeah.
That was a culture shock.
Johnny, one thing I learned that it just hit me now when you said Durango, they had pictures of John Wayne all over the place because I believe War Wagon was filmed at Durango.
That's right.
And
He is supposedly, that's just supposedly. He had stayed in the same hotel that we were.
right.
And a lot of the crew had, and they had pictures of that.
Yeah. And I looked a little like John Wayne, so they treated me. I'm
I
better,
don't.
Johnny.
I don't
That's-
remember that
That's
part
a
of the
lie.
story.
I don't. But there's so much to talk about that. But do you remember in Matamoros, or was it Monterey, where we almost killed a guy?
Now, the Jack,
Accidentally, I'm
Oh,
thinking it.
accidentally,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
The Craig did it.
the wheel bearing had gone out in the 55 Chevrolet, which is lucky. That's all that went wrong with the 55 Chevrolet.
Right.
The wheel bearing had gone out, and there was a young man under there working, and it rolled off the jack.
Yeah.
And it was very close to
Well,
Crush-
a mortal
Oh.
injury.
here was
And we were sitting over there watching it. It was, you're helpless. You see it's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it.
right. Here's one of the deals, and I don't know how we even found him. We were just driving down a bad road inside Monterey, Monterey, and there was, I guess a little sign and guy out there with a bunch of. Anyway, his son was underneath this. He had bricks set up and all, and he was having trouble getting the wheel off, and so Craig said, I bet it's the emergency brake is keeping him from doing it. So while the guy's yanking, Craig goes up, releases the brake, and the whole car just started going, and that guy missed having his head
Crush.
crushed by just a nanosecond. and it would have been Craig that did it, and we were with Craig.
We
would've-
might not have ever come out of Mexico.
That's what I'm thinking.
Anyway, looking
Wow.
back, there was a lot of
Wow.
scary things on
Yeah.
the trip. But I'm going to tell a story on Mark.
Oh, well,
We
thanks,
got the
Johnny.
time.
Yeah.
Because Craig and I, when we look back at that trip, this is blazed in our memory. Mark didn't surf, so Craig and I spent most of the time surfing. Mark had to just sit there and wait on the beach. But Mark had purchased to swim around in the clear Pacific water some fins, some good diving fins for his feet, and a snorkel, a fine snorkel. I mean, he paid quite a bit for the snorkel. And late in the evening, we go down to the beach, and Mark's going to take his snorkeling gear, and he's going to paddle out past the break and do some fine snorkeling on this trip, which he took all this stuff with.
Johnny, I borrowed the stuff, but go ahead.
Anyway, it was a beach break. It rose up there, and it was big that day, folks. I'm telling the waves, they didn't look like much, but Mark and I knew they were 6 and 7 foot.
The ocean was cruel that day.
They were, and Mark goes flopping out with his frog fins on and that mask on, and he walks up and just walks into, I'd say, a 7-footer that walled up. And Craig and I looked at each other, and you said, is he going to take that full on? You know, you're supposed to dive into that and cover yourself up. Mark took it on top of his head. And it washed, I'm not kidding, folks, it washed Mark Hayter back at least 40 yards back up on the beach. And he barely scrambled up. And when he came up, he had no snorkel, he had no mask, and he only had one fin on.
I was lucky to have my bathing suit on, Johnny.
And we laughed. He went all the way, a 1,500-mile trip to snorkel, and he took one wave on, and he was out of the snorkeling business.
Johnny, and I don't know how you guys surf. My head hit the beach. I mean, hit the water, the land under the water, which is called, I guess,
The bottom of the ocean.
Sand just went. I don't remember.
It'll pound you right down into the sand. But we ride the waves. You're not supposed. You don't.
I see.
You don't go where you
see.
went.
That's where and you know I didn't think our listeners would even believe that I didn't surf. I couldn't surf. I know I looked like I could, but no, I couldn't. And I was impressed that y'all could. One surfboard though, right?
No, we had two then.
Well,
we wouldn't have traded out when we first got in the business. Craig and I only had one surfboard between us, but we each had a surfboard.
That was one thing when you're driving to Mexico and you're going, folks. This was back when. I'm not saying a lot of parts of Mexico are safe now, but they had banditos and everything. We're driving the back roads and all, going to Mazatlan like we actually knew what we were doing.
With two surfboards on the roof of the car.
It looked like people look at us and say, does that look like somebody we ought to just rob or beat up or something? And we survived it. And oh my gosh, Johnny, the story about should you tell the story about the two guys in the car?
Well, we went down to the marina, big marina there. And a lot of people sail down there from California to come down there and stayed at Mazatlan. And we walked around the marina and looked at the boats, and there was a lot of money in boats there. And we got in the car to come back into town, which was a 20-minute drive. And two guys were hitchhiking, American guys. We picked them up. They jumped in the back seat and, hello, how are you, and all this, and can we take you to town? We said, yes. Well, I turned around to talk to one, and he had a rag around his arm, and he was bleeding gobs of blood. It was getting all over my father's back seat. Well, that alarmed me, and I said, I see you bleeding over there, son. What's the matter? He said, well, we crewed up on a ship from California, and we just got in a big fight with the captain. I mean, this captain, this and that. And anyway, I just freaked out. These guys were cut up. The fight with captain involved a knife, undoubtedly.
Apparently.
Well, we didn't know what kind of shape those two guys had left the captain in. You know, they were cut up in a knife fight, so we were fearful. I told them quite quickly that we changed plans. We weren't going into town, and I went up 2 blocks later and dumped them off there. But that was scary because we thought we might be involved in an assault or a murder down there at one point.
Unfortunately, I wasn't with them then, or I would have never let him pick them up, probably, but I would have whined the whole way. And that's the thing. We don't know if he knifed the captain. I mean, you might go back into the newspapers in Mazatlan of 1970, 71 and see what happened.
Drove away, never looked back, and never heard anything.
Oh, man. And, one thing about the whole trip, drunk the water out of the tap and all, and I don't remember much about bottled water. They didn't have individual bottled waters, but I was careful of that. But it never really struck me that ice. We'd get Coca-Colas, and the ice, though, was...
The ice.
And how
Contaminated, huh?
you guys got sick, got Montezuma's revenge. I know Craig did.
I know Craig did.
And I don't want to talk about it. But I was thinking, hey, I have nothing to worry about. I'm tough. This is great. And when I got home, I was in bad shape.
You had a delayed case, but you had a case.
Case. I lost some weight there. And anyway, we had a decent place we stayed at there.
Pretty nice, and we had breakfast at
Yeah.
the place, and we all ordered stuff that we thought would be healthy for us, so to speak, and it was pretty good. We had a good trip, and looking back, never any regrets on going.
Oh, yeah. I'm just
Good
glad we
stories.
survived it.
Yeah.
And we had a cute girl that was the housemaid, and we got a picture taken with her. She was very
Remember,
sweet.
we were dating.
He's
then.
never-
Oh, we were.
Yeah.
Kid, he's never stopped talking about the
I know.
lady that
You
cleaned
like
the room.
You
there.
like
I don't
the
know.
accent.
You know, Johnny, I've still got the pictures of stuff of your car and us on the side of the road, and the lovely girl that cleaned the room. Couldn't speak a word of it. You know, today, a lot of them could speak English, but back then, you know, I mentioned to Kay that I had to stop and buy a stamp, and I couldn't remember the name of the stamp, but it's Carta Blancas, white paper or something. I needed a stamp for paper or whatever. And anyway, I sent her a postcard from there, or a letter, and it arrived a week after I did.
Yeah, you've been home a week
that was
before I
pretty
got
good.
it.
Anyway,
So anyway.
ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a joke and some last few minute weird facts when we come back. Hanging with the Haters. Johnny Sutton here, back in a couple.
Hello, I'm Sonny Horn with Leaders Financial Group. For 25 years, Leaders has developed a working relationship with each of our clients that aid us in providing them opportunities to retire sooner than they likely thought possible. Our success is attributed largely to our thoroughness in drawing up a workable financial plan for each client. Saving money is tough for most, so we all need to receive the best long-term results possible for our efforts. Leaders Financial Group has earned a reputation for providing greater peace of mind for those who too often feel they're hoping against hope in what seems to be a most complicated financial market. Our goal at Leaders is to provide a keen sense of hope and financial security for those who come to us seeking direction. The process is simple. Phone call even more so. I'm Sonny Horn. Give me a call at 832-381-2515, and we'll help you establish a financial future that'll be ready when you're ready to retire.
And I'm Mark Hayter. One of the clients at Sonny Horn has helped retire sooner than I thought possible. It's our trust in him that led Kay and I to choose Leaders Financial Group as our sponsor. We hope you'll tune in to our live broadcast every Wednesday at noon on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1. If you miss one, check out Hanging with the Haters on YouTube or SoundCloud.
To Hanging with the Haters on this beautiful Wednesday. You know, Mark, we've been talking about countries, and we kind of got off on Russia when we were talking about Paraguay, and it got me thinking about a documentary I watched on television the other day about the Chernobyl power plant that melted down.
Watch that, and I need to do it.
Yeah,
now, why was that so fascinating?
Well, it was 30 years ago, and at the time they built a structure over that reactor that had the meltdown.
Yeah, Chernobyl.
But they had to do it so fast because the radiation was so bad. I mean, they had a lot of workers that got too much radiation, and some died, and some have had cancer as a result. But after 30 years, it's basically falling apart. Part of the roof has already crumbled in.
Is it still a problem?
Yes. It's still got all those old spent fuel rods in there. And so anyway, they have to contain it. And what we didn't know that for the last, basically from the time they put the other one on, they've had plans to do a more permanent thing. And about, 10, 15 years ago, they started taking plans from different construction people to come up with a plan to cover that thing. Turns out that I mean, it's basically the same problem. You can't work directly over that old reactor, or
Yeah.
you're going to get too much radiation.
You'll get neutered too.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, they found out if you were off to the side about 150 yards, that they had these gamma rays that come off, and they said it's far enough away that on one particular day, a person would only be hit with one gamma ray, which is doable. So they could actually work, an 8-hour shift.
Oh,
And
gosh.
what they did is they built this giant, like half a circle dome thing over it, but open at both ends. And they took them years and years to construct it, and it had to be movable. So they had to lay down, tracks, and they basically, just this past year, slid it over that thing. And of course, it's got to be huge to do that. And they they had ends that they put on it, and the side that had to roll in over the reactor, they had little metal door things that would actually fit the shape of the towers and the pipes that were coming up. And then after they got it slid over those doors, they just put them back down, and they contained the whole thing. It was the most amazing piece of engineering, and a French company is the one that won the contract.
Son of a gun.
But
Oh, gosh,
anyway,
I'd hate to have
they've
that
got it
contract.
contained, and they've got special things in there to keep it dry. They don't want moisture building up there. And they built it with cranes inside, so they can literally start picking up those pieces and cleaning it out. And they're
Wow.
going to do that over the next probably
You know,
decades.
that reminds me of Paraguay. That
I'm not surprised.
one dam they've got in Paraguay, it produces enough electricity to equal 20 nuclear power plants. 20. That is one big dam, and they've got fish there. Do they have?
Well, the dual ownership amazes me. Do they own
Really?
half the dam and half
That's-
the dam, or the front of the dam and the
It's
back
the-
of the dam?
Really?
It's
That's a
called
good-
the Aitupo
Aitupo.
Dam.
Yeah, and it means me also dam. Yours also.
Me too, Bo.
Tupo is your.
Me too.
I don't know what it means, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just making stuff up. But, and that's a horrible story. And one, I don't know if y'all remember, Russia has lost some submarines. And one they lost, well, they didn't lose this one, but they were going to. It was a nuclear submarine, and they were underwater, obviously, and the reactor, they had a problem, and they needed someone to open a valve, but it was suicide. In other words, you need to let water in there. And it took two guys, and one guy said, okay, I can't do it all, but I'm going to go in there and flip such and such. And he went in there, flipped it, and came out and just dropped dead. And the other guy
My
said,
goodness.
okay. In other words, this thing is going down if you don't do this. And
The
so
whole
one guy
crew
said,
will be gone.
okay,
Yeah.
I'll do it. And so he went in there and did the last part of it. He came out, and unfortunately, he stayed alive for several hours before he died, but he was in agony. And that is heroism. I realized, if somebody doesn't do it, we're dead. But instead of, drawing straws or something, I work
And
in
they
this
actually
area.
got 2 volunteers.
Yeah, that's really something else.
That's amazing.
By the way, we don't. There was a story of an American sub that sunk, and it was at the bottom, and they did take time to bring a big one of those diving somethings
bell.
down. But the guy went down and said, "There's no way we can bring this ship up. It'll take too long." And they were hearing hitting on
Hammering.
the side, and a preacher actually told this, and I haven't vetted it, but the preacher's come up with some pretty good stories. Anyway, and the person down there, was finally tapped on to let him know, and the guy knew Morse code, and he was typing. He said, "Is there any hope?" And the guy hit no. And can you imagine when you're down there? Okay, I ask and I find out.
They lost that crew.
They lost the crew of the
and the
submarine and everything. I don't know if they ever brought it up, but I think we need a joke right now that.
Yeah, that was pretty serious.
That was pretty serious. And this starts out serious. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're aware, but the CIA actually trains spies, and they actually go out and try to find some. But you don't know about their assassins. They also look for assassins. And what they wanted was a woman, female assassin. And they were vetting these women. And they had found 3, and all of them were coming across great. But all they needed was one assassin. So they brought the first lady in and said, okay, you've done well, but we've got one last thing. We've got to know if we can trust you, if you're really serious about this. They said, in that room over there, we've got your husband sitting down in a chair. Here's a gun. Go in there and kill him. And the lady said, this is ridiculous. No way. I'm not. So she gave the gun back. That's stupid. I said, okay, we're not interested in you. The other lady comes in, say, okay, same story. In there is your husband sitting in a chair. Here's a gun. We need you to go in there to show that you're serious about this and that you would kill anyone we ask. If you'll kill your husband, you'll kill anybody. So will you do that? She said, okay. She went to the door and started opening. I said, you're crazy. I don't want the job that bad if that's what I have to do. So she gave the gun back and said, man, we may not have anybody. So they asked the third woman. They said, okay, this is it. Final deal. Will you kill anyone? Yes, I'll kill anyone you ask me to. Okay, we've got your husband sitting in a chair in there. Here's a gun. We want you to go in there and kill him. I said, okay. She opens the door, closes it, and you hear 6 shots. Pow, 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 pow. And then you hear the loudest commotion and crunching and everything and screams and everything. And finally she comes out. Her skirt is ripped and all, and she's got a little blood on her head and all. And they said, oh, my gosh, what did you do? And said, well, the gun was full of blanks, so I had to kill him with the chair. And that is probably a joke to...
she would have to get the job.
She had the job, Johnny. She was down there,
Wow.
and she was committed. And that, there's a fine line between how much do you love your country and would you give your life, would you give your husband's life for your country? And she did. By the way, I didn't vet that story well, and a preacher didn't tell it, so I don't know if it's true or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you hear that joke?
I got it from Garrison Keller.
Okay.
Lake Wobegon guy. He's terrific. We don't have much time, and I wanted to tell you something about George Washington. I don't have the time to do that, so I'm going to end with some weird facts until we get I get
we're
the
out of time.
signal here. Okay, every day, ladies and gentlemen, 36 kids in this country go to, actually it may be the world, I don't know, 36 kids go to an emergency room because of accidents due to Q-tips. You can imagine what they might have done.
Well, you don't run with a
right.
with a
One more minute.
Q-tip.
That's no good. That's no good. A group of flamingos. You know what you call a group of flamingos? Who cares, you ask, or you say. No, it's called a flamboyance. I did not know that. A group of penguins is called a covent. Covent of penguins. Owls is a parliament. Hawks are a kettle. Snails are a walk. A group of snails is called a walk of snails. And tigers are called an ambush. Zebras are called a zebra zeal. And they've got other names too, but these are one listed. Also, one last story, we got to get out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, the inventor of the roller skates, Joseph Merlin, in the 1770s, he invented roller skates, and to show them off, there was a masked ball, and he wrote in, he skated into the masked ball, and he was playing a violin, and he was roller skating in, and I kid you not, this is a true story, he ran right into a full-length mirror.
Oh.
And he did him, it was irreparable. He didn't die, but they said he was so messed up, he never roller skated again, and that the popularity of the roller skates that he invented went down to nothing it took him many decades before people said, let's try it again. So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh at Mr. Merlin, but that was sad. Johnny.
That's why your mother always told you, be careful on those rollers.
Exactly.
That's right.
Geez.
That's right.
Thank y'all so much.
Do y'all know what's unique about the Paraguay flag?
What's that? Yeah, no.
It's the only flag in the world that has 2 different designs, one on one side and one on the other.
Son of a gun, and I didn't have that note. Jake? Thanks, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake LaFleur. That is also the name of the guy in True Grit. It has nothing to do with anything. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be
we gotta
back
go,
next
babe.
week.
Let's go.
Hang with Hayters. Johnny Sutton, thank you so much. Jake, thank you. Back next week. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show is recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios. And Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.